Good morning, afternoon, evening, whenever you're seeing this. I hope you're having a great day. And welcome to my Mad Lab. I am the Mad Lad. These are my Mad Lad creations. And if you would like to see the personal deck list for yourself, look down in the description below. With it today, I have one of my most interesting decks, which the deck is called Guts Berserker, which is only about half true because with it, the main theme of the deck is Boros Aristocrats. Now I know what you may be thinking. Boros Aristocrats? What has this dude been smoking? Well, things might make a little more sense whenever I show you my commander. Gut True Soul Zealot is a red mana goblin with, whenever you attack, you may sacrifice another creature or an artifact. If you do, create a 4/1 black skeleton with a Nache that's tapped and attacking. Choose a background. To make this deck Boros, we run the background Inspiring Leader, which reads, Commander creatures I own have creature tokens you control get +2/+2, which makes these 4/1s 6/3s, which there's two main different themes of this deck. The token generation, and the second part is using Fodder to create our skeletons. In the same process, we try and use as many different engines to try and have these Menache skeletons be as big and have as many keywords as possible. With it, let's start with the Fodder, which makes up a good number of how this deck likes to run. The way I ended up building this deck is having these low to the ground ETB and LTB artifacts, basically. Alchemist Vial draws on it ETB, same with Chromatic Star. Anchor Wellspring does the same, but also with whenever it enters the graveyard. Whenever Implement of Improvement is put into the grave. Mycosynth Lattice does the same thing, but instead of drawing it, searches lands. Nimblewright Schematics, same thing, but it does artifact tokens on ETB and LTB. Panic Spellbomb, whenever LTBs, if I pay red, draw a card. Prize Statue creates tokens on ETB, LTB. Servos for Servo Schematic. Skrelv Hive, whenever our upkeep happens, we lose a life and create a Phyrexian Might, which we're just going to go ahead and sacrifice. If we have other fodder, we'll start building them up so that we can get the second part for lifelink. Solemn Simulacrum searches a land on ETB, draws a card whenever die. We have both Squeeze in here. I don't have Goblin or Dubious Monarch, so we can cast one of the Squeeze from graveyard or exile, or we can return it to hand. Terrarion draws a card whenever it leaves the battlefield. And our last little bit of quote-unquote fodder is Ugith's Nexus, take an additional turn in Boros. The other draw cards we have in this deck are Charger Flamecaller, discard, draw that many +1, Firebane Commando, whatever attack with 2 or more, we like to go wide with this. Glimmer Lens, basically same thing, but 2 or more or one other creature with the equipped one. It also creates a rebel on entry, so we don't have to worry about that as much. Heartwarming Redemption, discards gain that much +1, or draw that much +1, discard a card, draw 2, amass 1, draw a card if we've created a token this turn, discard, draw a card. Attacking creatures have double strike, more of the keywords, and then allows us to potentially draw 3 cards per turn. See the spoil, draw 2, or discard, draw 2, create a treasure. Antifairy's Puzzle Box allows us to basically will every turn. The way we give more keywords are through Achroma's Will, which in the best case scenario can give us Flying, Vigilance, Double Strike, Lifelink, Indestructible, and Protection from all colors, which would make it an absolute game ender. Anger gives all of our creatures haste while also being a little bit of fodder. Berserker's Onslaught, the other way we give Double Strike, excluding Achroma's Will, and I know I talked about it earlier, but that's not the point. And for the reason we have Berserker's Onslaught is why I call this deck Guts Berserker. We give Trample with Blood Crusher of Khorne, Flawless Maneuver for Indestructible and Protection, Valor for First Strike. Since we have like 6/3s and potentially even bigger creatures, it's nice to hit them before they hit us, especially since we only have 3 toughness with our Menaches. The way we generate big mana with this deck is with Descent into Arvanus, which generates us treasures along with our opponents, but it burns everybody. Firemind Vessel gives us 2 per turn. We have a bunch of artifacts, so being able to sacrifice them with Karak Clan Ironwork is very beneficial. Magnifying Glass creates a clue each turn, which we can also sacrifice to Gut. Flagstone Refinery, whenever a non-token artifact I control is put into a graveyard or put into exile. Create a power Stone, which is an artifact we can sacrifice. Talisman of Conviction, because we're in a dual color deck. Traveler's Amulet to thin out our deck, and also being an artifact. Treasonous Ogre, by far one of my personal favorite red cards of all time. I think this is absolutely hilarious. Like, being able to, I don't know, pay 15 mana for an Ugin's Nexus, to sacrifice it to gut to take an extra turn is hilarious. And the last one we have is Wayfarer's Bauble, which deck thins, gets us land, and could also be sacrificed to gut. Our main token makers are Adeline, which create a human token that's attacking each opponent. Archangel Elspeth, which gives us a soldier, can also pump gut and give him evasion through flying. Elspeth lets us gain life, create tokens that we can sacrifice away. Same thing with Sun's Champion, but can also pump and have flying. Kaboomus can be partial spot removal and generates landmines that we could sacrifice to gut if we don't want to sacrifice it for the damage. Rebel Master generates goblins. Keeper of the Accord is just a really good white card, which generates us tokens or gets us land if an opponent has more than us. Kuldotha Rebirth, sacrifice an artifact, put 3 goblins into play, rinse and repeat. Monastery Mentor gives us monks with prowess whenever we cast a non-creature spell. Mondrak, because we like doubling tokens. Nesting Dragon gives us an egg on landfall. If we have gut on field, we can immediately sack the dragon egg to gut in the same sense, giving us an additional 2/2 dragon with flying and flame breathing. But if we have Inspiring Leader out, we'll be 4/4 with flame breathing. Authority gives us tokens for the number of experience counters. Sky Knight Vanguard gives us a soldier on attacks, and Veteran Soldier because we don't have enough token generation in this deck. The way we recur stuff out of this deck are Ariok Salvagers, which honestly isn't the best card, but it does get us a lot of our biggest fodder from our graveyard that sacrifices itself back into the deck. Duretti fills up our yard, but can also bring stuff back without restriction. Goblin Welder, exchange 2 different artifacts in my grave, so we can take, I don't know, a Wayfarer's Bauble for a Wormcoil Engine or a Triplicate Titan, which is pretty hilarious. And Quintoris Loremaster, whenever we have stuff in the bin, we can exile something, sacrifice the spirit that it makes to bring back whatever we exile without paying its cost. The way we get additional triggers are through cards like Blade of Cells, which equipped creature has Myriad. Funny enough, since gut is a attack trigger, we have this on gut. We create 4 guts, or 3 guts basically, 1 for each opponent, and then just go down the line sacrificing each other to get ourselves more skeletons that are also tapped in attack. Fiery Emancipation to triple damage. Fury of the Horde to give us an additional combat. Goblin Matron to search out any of our additional goblins. And the final card in this deck is Norn's Wellspring. Whenever a creature I control dies, scribe 1, put an oil counter, remove 2 oil counters, and draw a card. The last few, well, I said that was the last one, but I lied. Last 3 cards, Elish Norn, pumps us more, and debuffs our opponent. Triplicate Titan, because we can cheat it into play. And then whenever it dies, we create a 3/3 with flying, vigilance, and trample, all separate ones. Same thing with Wormcoil Engine. Either or y'all, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Peace.